Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody to the June 11th meeting of the Rhinebeck Village Board. First item on the agenda is our County Legislator, Joel Tyner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have some handouts. You and I were talking before the meeting began about the sales tax agreement. It's certainly good to have some sort of agreement in place, but our conversation sort of verified and confirmed the other information that I'd gotten, that this was just really kind of rushed through a little bit too quickly without hardly any input from the local municipal officials across the county. $9 million, actually $9,031,788.69. So $9 million, that's a lot of money. But that is the county sales tax revenue sharing with the towns and villages outside the two cities. But that keeps in place the $4.5 million cut that was instituted about 8 months ago. And so that's why I cannot support it. I understand if it, quote unquote, had to pass. The reason why I voted against it and a number of my colleagues is because if all 25 of us voted yes, then how is anybody to know that the process stunk? So that's why I voted the way I did. I actually got, this is very rare, it happened a couple months ago, it just happened last night. I actually got a resolution passed unanimously for Dutchess County to join Madison County, Tompkins County, and Genesee County with a solarized Dutchess.com program. Hopefully that website will be up and running soon. But in Madison County, they launched this a couple years ago. It's a 25% bulk rate discount on solar panels, getting them installed. Basically, the county planning department does an RFP, working with volunteers, comes up with a set of criteria before the RFP is done, and then one solar company is chosen for homeowners and businesses who voluntarily want to participate. And the whole idea of bulk volume purchase, you're saving 20, 25, 30% on your solar installation. Madison County, they octupled. They, by an 800% ratio, they increased their solar installations. So this is something that could create a lot of green jobs in Dutchess County, save a lot of money on electric bills, clean up the air, cut carbon emissions. It's a win-win. Go to solarizemadison.com or solarizenewyork.org to see what Genesee and Tompkins counties and Madison counties have done. We're trying to do it here.
You mentioned that it's open to homeowners, et cetera. Is it open to the not-for-profit sector, to the municipal sector, or is it just targeted for homeowners? I
would hope so. I believe in Madison County, we have to get it. The resolution passed last night. I've learned in my 10 years in the county legislature, it's a lot easier to crawl before you walk, before you run, before you fly. The program's not up and running yet. The resolution that got passed was watered down from what we tried to pass last month, which they didn't even allow on the agenda, which was just for the county planning department to evaluate the cost and feasibility. It would only cost maybe $4,000 or $5,000. There was a woman who drove down. I didn't even have to push her that hard. She drove 3.5 hours one way, basically 7-hour road trip from Madison County all the way down. Spoke with Keely Solomon, the planning commissioner. So I have hopes that in the next year, in the next several months, it'll be up and running. The reason why I'm talking about it is because it's like a tree falling in a forest. If nobody knows about it, I'm afraid it might never happen. But it's all in the papers about the Central Hudson Fortis deal. A majority of the Dutchess County legislature are actually convinced to agree to sign on to my letter opposing the deal. There's a lot of different municipalities opposing it. Sierra Club, AARP. Today's Poughkeepsie Journal front page is reporting that the Public Service Commission on Thursday may decide on it, supposedly on the agenda. No matter how you feel about it, I have a feeling that this Thursday is not going to be the be-all and end-all. I'm doing a forum with Randolph Horner of Citizens for Local Power, the coalition to oppose the acquisition, on Saturday, June 22nd at noon across the way at Rhinebeck Town Hall. That's Saturday, June 22nd at noon at Town Hall. Folks from Citizens for Local Power are going to be here, so you can ask questions. On June 26th, you may have seen, well, just on the other side of Market Street, that used to be a county mental health hygiene building. It's been privatized. There's a guy who lives in Red Hook, Dr. Richard DePass. He was a clinical psychologist for roughly about 25 years with the county mental health department, mental hygiene department. He had an op-ed piece in the Poughkeepsie Journal May 19th talking about how privatization has destroyed the county mental health care system. It was on a Sunday, Poughkeepsie Journal. I spoke to him. He actually said, I do a couple radio shows, he actually said on the air that it's gotten so bad that let's say you attempt suicide, maybe if you're lucky, you'll get 30 minutes of therapy in 3 weeks. That's a lot of people running around that are a danger to themselves. That's not being a healthy Dutchess County. And frankly, even if you take aside people's self-destruction, we're not living in a safe and healthy Dutchess County if there's people who are suicidal who tried to commit suicide and they're only getting a half hour's worth of treatment once a month. So we're doing a forum on that Wednesday, June 26th at 5 p.m. across the way, Rhinebeck Town Hall. I just thought I'd tell you about that. What I handed out, I'll just wrap it up. There's something called Right on Crime. I think the website is rightoncrime.com. Jeb Bush, Grover Norquist, Newt Gingrich, David Keene of the NRA, Ed Meese, Richard Viguerie of conservativehq.com had a piece in the New York Times yesterday about how Texas rejected 8 more state prisons, saved $2 billion. Parole violations were cut 39% because they put money into treatment, they put money into supervision and alternatives, and they strengthened probation and parole. Georgia, South Carolina, Vermont, New Hampshire, Ohio, all these states are doing prison reform, saving a ton of money. The reason why I voted against $1.2 million bond, and it's not a dead issue because it's going to be around for a while. The reason why I voted last night against the $1.2 million bond to design a new criminal justice facility, and that's what the bond is and was, is because if you actually look at this report, I feel like I'm Joe McCarthy. I have a list here. But if you look at this report, this is the Richie Green report that came out recently, which is a validation of the Criminal Justice Council report. This report says we need special separate housing for the youth, special separate housing for the mentally ill, special separate housing for women. And even the sheriff and the undersheriff said there's about 20 teenagers in the county jail, 45 women, 50 mentally ill. 80% of the people in the county jail are substance abuse or alcoholics or mental health issues. 80% of the people in the county jail haven't even been sentenced yet. It just doesn't make any sense that so many people in our county government power structure are so bent on looking at one half of this report, which says, gee, let's spend $200 million on a new jail. That's actually what it says. As opposed to looking at the other half of the report, and if you add up all these different populations, it adds up to about 200 people, which is roughly the number of people that we're housing out every day. There's alternatives. And so, anyway, I don't want to take too much of your time, but Albany County, they cut the recidivism rate 68% to 9% with pyhit.com. Peter Young Housing Industries and Treatment. Newark, you know, we have men in the Dutchess County Jail who have children. We have fathers in the Dutchess County Jail. In Newark, they started a program, Delta Alpha, Delta Sigma, DADS, fraternity for dads behind bars, cut the recidivism rate from 65% to 3%. There are so many things we could have and should have been doing, we should do now, that I've been advocating for the last decade. It's just, it seems like the height of insanity just to go willy-nilly and flush this money down the drain. Jim Coughlin, who's the county comptroller, came up to me, Mr. Reardon, I think you may have been there, at the Memorial Day parade. He initiated a discussion with me about, Joel, what about that $1.2 million bond? And I'm thinking to myself, it's Memorial Day. What? Like I didn't start grinding an axe. Like here's the Republican county comptroller telling him, Joel, like, aren't you gonna like raise a ruckus? Aren't you gonna ask some questions? So I'm just sort of saying out loud what a lot of people don't want to say publicly. But thank you for your patience. I have to run to the Town of Clinton Town Board meeting, which started 10 minutes ago. I'm at 876-2488-453-2105. A lot of information about what I'm talking about. It's on my website, duchessdemocracy.blogspot.com. Thank you. Happy summer.
Thanks, Joel. Okay, we're going to move on to department reports. Wastewater, Brant.
For May, we had 3.41 million gallons of wastewater treated, 93,600 gallons of sludge processed, 13,208 pounds of sludge processed, 25.2 cubic yards of sludge processed. We started yesterday on the sludge press replacement project. The old press has been removed, So we're in a process right now where we're switching to wet sludge removal during the period of time where it'll take to get the new screw pump in and or screw press in, and hopefully that'll take about 30 days to complete. But we're, that's just my optimistic view on that. M&O Sanitation was the lowest bidder for the wet sludge removal at 20 cents a gallon, or I'm sorry, 12.5 cents per gallon. We had a bid from Superior Sanitation at 20 cents per gallon and Residuals Management at 12.75 cents per gallon. So the wet sludge removal has been awarded to M&O. The underground fuel tank has been removed and it does not leak. And we're waiting for Ira Conklin, or whatever the name of that company is now, to get the new above ground tank to install on the concrete pad, which they've completed. Kyle Moore has been extended till approximately July 5th, 13th, while we're still short at the plant. And what else is going on? We got delivery of the John Deere from Kiel for the mower. And I had a question about approval for the increased waste at the hospital when the expansion goes through. We did get the report done from Bernier and Larios, and I looked at the code book, and it seems clear that the approval process for hooking up to the wastewater facility is with the village board. The reapproval needs to go in front of the village board. Didn't seem clear to me what happens in an increased capacity situation. So I don't know if procedurally whether we would approve that or whether it goes to the planning board. I thought maybe Rich could look into that and advise us on that. So we do have the report done. It seems satisfactory. It seems like the increased amount is going to be that we can handle it, but I don't know procedurally who
I'd leave it up to
blesses
Rich.
that.
Off the top of my head, they're not purchasing any capacity. They're just going to be using more capacity, so.
Right.
I would
They're
think,
within the village, so they have a right
I
to
would
it.
think it would be up to the planning board. They may refer it to the village board, but it's not as though we're selling anything to them where we would.
I don't know. I don't know if they're doing any engineering.
Kind of like the Stop and Shop thing where we sell
Right.
gallonage.
But are they doing any engineering upgrade? Is the pipe size going to change? I mean, I don't know. I
Well,
haven't
that's
been
all
in the
gonna be
loop on all that.
that's all part of the site plan
Right.
development.
Would that also be true for water? If we get another
They're
big
within the
water
village.
user, if it's outside the village?
Well, if it's outside the village, you have to make a determination before you
We're
enter
talking
into
about
any
the
contract.
hospital, that's in the village.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm asking a question if there's something outside the village, and I'm talking about Grasmere. Okay, do we have to do the same thing? Go to the planning board?
Well,
That's a village hall. That's a village board issue.
That's what would happen in that case, because the Grassmere project would be in the town. The town would then have to, similar to what goes on with the Thompson Mazzarella Park, all right, whatever happens in the village, or if there's any type of wastewater connection or water connection, the village engineer has to review it and sign off on it. And the analogy I was trying to make is that up at the Stop and Shop, they actually purchased sewer capacity.
Yeah.
And then they increased it by purchasing more. So that was an agreement between the village board and them. But when we talk about the development of a project, they're not purchasing capacity, they're just tying into the system and then paying the user fee. So there's really not a village board approval there. What there is a planning board process being vetted and an engineer signing off on the plan.
Mr. Redden, this may be out of order, so tell me what it is, but our issue is the water treatment plant. I wonder if we can have a quick word.
The water treatment plant or the wastewater treatment plant?
Wastewater treatment plant. And certainly we can wait and see if
No, we're in wastewater right now, so if you want to address us, please come to this microphone, state your name and where you live, for the record.
Here's Lishman and Joan Lishman in 10 West Court, Rhinebeck. We, as I said, love this place. We've just come here, and it took us 5 years to find the right place, and we're on the end unit in West Court, which is about 100 yards from the road and probably 200 yards from the wastewater treatment plant. And there are, I think, between 10 and 12 units close enough there to be affected by the noise. And the noise, everybody agrees, including the board who I was talking to, the phase one board of the woods, has got considerably worse. And we wondered who we should talk to about that issue to see if anything could be done that needn't necessarily be too expensive to reduce the noise pollution coming from the wastewater plant that we hear very, very clearly at night with the windows open, and indeed on certain days inside the house. And that's really the crux of it.
Well, when you say that the noise has gotten worse, I'm kind of confused because we haven't changed anything in our operation there, so I don't see how the noise level could have changed.
No, only maybe deterioration of the equipment. And I actually, the other day was very, very hot, and I actually whizzed an email out to the board and just said, if you can stand the heat today, come and hear the noise, because it was so bad. And they did. I don't know if you know the board of phase one. There's Tom, of course, and Nina. They both came and agreed that the noise was excessive.
What I will say is that weather conditions have a lot to do with what the impacts are, both noise and odor and those types of things.
Yeah.
And if you have very warm days and you have that humidity in the air and there's kind of that low cloud cover, then of course it contains noise more. That's an environmental condition we can't control. And I mean, as far as the noise that's generated by the equipment, if that has significantly increased in some regard, then of course we would need to look into how that equipment is functioning. But to my knowledge, and Anthony and the crew down there are very, very diligent about maintaining equipment and make sure it's functioning properly. And I don't see the noise level as being a function of a failure or a deterioration of something. I see it being more an environmental condition. As I mentioned, those types of conditions I mentioned, and wind direction having a lot to do with it.
Wind direction too, yeah.
Wind, certainly, but it's always there. It's constant, and it is obtrusive. We've approached the board about putting some more protection between
and when you say the board, you're talking about the
phase one board of the woods, yes. And they are looking at that. They, of course, have got a lot of big expenses this year, but they're certainly open to putting some more trees in our side of Astor Place. Ideally, they should really put a nice, handsome wooden fence in to stop some of that noise. But
you said it's at night a lot? The noise is at night?
At night?
Yeah.
No, it's 24 hours.
24
hours.
I mean, I'll speak to the chief wastewater operator to see if they've been doing anything differently. I know that
Could you?
We were doing a little excavating there, and we removed an underground storage tank. Now we're working on the sludge press, so there have been little projects going on there. But.
Okay. We'd greatly appreciate it if you could look at it and see if there's anything, even if we could bring it down by, say, 10–15%. That would make our lives much nicer.
Is it constant noise?
24/7.
So it doesn't seem to be a function of any site work we're doing. It's just a plant itself operating, it sounds to me, is what you're commenting on.
Yes.
Well, are you saying that it has increased over time?
Well, the consensus of these board members who went out, who have listened to it, not just on that particular hot day, because Christopher came and heard it on a normal day, was that it seemed to have got louder in the last year or so. And we're new there, so we probably drew attention to it more than the previous owner, who I think kept the windows and the air conditioning on all the time. But we love to sit outside. It's such a lovely spot there. Perhaps there's just something that's not too expensive that could be done to insulate. Tell me, is it a diesel unit in there, or?
We have a generator there that's only a standby generator.
It's a generator.
So it's only when the power goes out that generator kicks in, or it does its regular maintenance cycle, where it runs for a little while just to keep itself fresh and batteries charged, etc. But it doesn't run all the time.
Well, this is 24/7, this noise.
So, yeah, it seems like it's an operational function of the plant, and maybe the circulators or whatever,
Yeah.
So that's something that Brant would have to talk with Anthony and see if perhaps there's a malfunction there that we're not aware of.
Sure.
But like I said before, Anthony's he's very, very diligent about keeping that plant ship shape and running like a well-oiled machine.
Well,
you know?
if Brant wanted to, I'd be delighted to just show you, so you could hear what I'm talking about from our house.
Okay.
Be delighted to. I'll
You
give
can leave
you
me your name and number and
Sure,
write it down here.
will do.
And I'll call you.
Thank you very much for this.
Sure.
Agreeing to take a look at it.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it and see what we can figure out.
Yeah.
And I think the idea of vegetative screening is, some type of screening is a good idea also.
Is much better than mine.
Okay.
And she can also remember new phone number, which I can't quite remember yet. There are, of course, a number of things. I don't want to get into esoteric stuff, but between Astor Drive, is it? Yes, and the unit.
Need you to go back by the mic.
Between Astor Drive and the unit, there is a substantial area which could possibly be planted with something to help the noise level. Mm-hmm. On the slope immediately below the plant, there are some low bushes, but they do nothing. Okay. And then as you dip towards Astor Drive, there's a nice piece of land there that could conceivably do with some trees to keep the noise down from these 10, 12 units.
Fran will follow up with you. And,
Terrific.
Yeah.
Greatly appreciate it. I look forward to it.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else on wastewater? Fran?
That's all I have. Thanks.
Okay, water. Heinz, you're up.
We treated 12,452,000 gallons of water this year, this month, in the month of May. As far as the water plant paint project is concerned, I was told that the contract has been signed and the bonds have been obtained, and the whole package is in the mail. The anticipated start for the painting is end of July, early August. The duration of the work is supposed to be about 3 weeks. We published a water quality report at the Kingston Daily Freeman at end of May, and that report is also online now.
On our website?
It's on online on the website, right? The water distribution system, the fire hydrants, we replaced a fire hydrant at West Market and Oak Street. We attempted to replace a fire hydrant on 308 and ran into some problems. We were not able to shut off the water completely, and we have to come back and put a line stop in there, and probably have to replace 3 valves that in the line, and then replace that fire hydrant. We're going to start working on that again on this coming Friday. That should be a one-day job if everything goes well. As far as the water distribution system, we requested prompt action from Astor Home to cut and cap their service lines, which are located on the east side of Route 9, and to cap them right at the terminus of the line. The South Parsonage Street main relocation has been completed, and I have a bill here for the last payment of $13,224.92 to A.W. Kuhn. So that is the final payment of that. We still retain a certified check from them for the amount, the original contract amount, which was $98,435. I think I have to make a motion to pay this last installment.
We had authorized the project, right?
Yeah.
So we don't
Just
have
come
to,
in on the voucher and
Yeah, okay.
we just have to sign the voucher.
Sign voucher, okay. Other things, we hired a part-time temporary employee, Rich Denew, who's going to start 6/12 to temporarily fill the place of one of our retired workers. We plan to have him work 3 days a week for about 15 hours. And we have placed ads, I was just told today, in the various media to get a new level 2 operator. Last item is the electric power reduction initiatives that I have undertaken. We sent a signed request to Central Hudson to replace all remaining high-pressure mercury lamps with high-pressure sodium lamps. I went through back there and looked at the algorithm that Central Hudson uses, and based on that and last year's rate of power, we should be saving about $7,700 a year just on the lights. Now, this was half of the lights. Thank you, sir. That was half of the lights that we replaced. We also signed a contract with Viridian to be our electricity supplier. I will monitor the progress and see if we actually save money on it, and I'll once in a while report on it, maybe every 3 or 4 months, to see how this is working out. And that's all I have for today.
You know, I was going to ask you, simply because you have a lot of experience with solar panels.
Yeah.
Can we do an analysis of what we're generating and what the cost savings is to us based on the kilowatt hours that we're producing and putting back in?
Yeah, I can look at it. I had tried to look at it once before to understand how that meter works that you have down here. I couldn't figure it out. But we should see that in our electric bill. So I'm going to take another look at it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think it would be good to have a handle on
how many kilowatts hour we
how it's
produce.
helping us. Yeah. Yeah. We get the production report.
Yeah.
But we have never had that translate to what the savings is.
And I have a similar situation at home. I have, as you know, I have 53 solar panels on my house, and I actually go on a yearly basis because I know how much I generate, and you know, I can figure out how much I save. For you, it's different because you got it virtually for nothing. I had to pay a lot of money for mine, and I thought at one time we have an ROI of maybe 8 or so years. It turns out to be more like 15, because the cost of electricity, the supply has gone. It's not gone up at all. It's gone down, if anything. But I will look at it.
All right, thank you.
I just have a question for you, Heinz. You said that's for half of the street lights are going to be replaced?
Yeah, we had already half of the. We have about 233 street lights. The ones that we are replacing are just the high pressure mercury lamps, and that was I think 118 or something like that, which is half of what we have of all our lights. But just that half, you know, these 113 between the rental. Rental is quite high, by the way. We're doing a rental which saves us about $1 to $2 a lamp per month, and the electricity, which is humongous. And I have actually made something for you here. If you have the chance, you can look through it.
So are the other lights, are they already the...
They're going to be, they're not done yet, but Central Hudson said they will do them by the end of the summer.
But the ones that they're not replacing, are they already energy efficient?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
We've got a mix of different types.
We are replacing the same, well, I'm sorry, the new ones that we're getting there are the same as the ones that I have that we have already installed.
We're going from HPS to
sodium, high pressure sodium.
high pressure sodium to the mercury vapor.
No, other way around. From
mercury vapor to high pressure sodium.
High pressure sodium.
Okay.
Would you mind if we nipped out now?
Oh, certainly. No, you can excuse yourself at any time. We're used to that.
We don't take it
Okay, nice
personally.
meeting you.
Thanks.
Nobody ever wants to stay for all the fun. Thank you, folks. Okay. All right. Thanks, Heinz. Okay. Fire department. As you can see, Trustee Tortorella's not here. He is away doing his service with the Army Reserve. So I will read the report for the fire department. Month of May, we had in the town 25 EMS calls, 21 in the village, for a total of 46. Fire calls, 11 in the town, 9 in the village, total of 20. Motor vehicle accidents, 2 in the town, 0 in the village, for a total of 2. Year to date, EMS calls, 106 town, 108 village, 224 total. Fire calls, year to date, 50 in the town, 38 in the village, for a total of 88. Motor vehicle accidents, 14 in the town, 6 in the village, total of 20. So that gives us a grand total in the town, calls for the year 170, in the village 152, for a total of 332, or 322, I'm sorry. So that is the call volume report. The other item we need to do is 59-2, this was the second chief's car, the Durango, and we had discussed that previously, and what I had done was call a friend of mine who has done work for me before, and I had John's Towing tow the chief's car from here to Ronnie's shop in Tivoli. Ronnie looked at it and confirmed that it is in fact a rod knock. A rod knock. You will understand in a gasoline motor, you have a crankshaft that spins this way, and you have connecting rods that go this way to the pistons.
Right.
Well, there's bearings in here, and those bearings go bad, and then that rod starts doing this on the crankshaft.
All right, thank you.
So that's what's wrong with it.
Mechanics 101.
So, needless to say, the cost to fix it is prohibitive for the mileage it has on it, et cetera. What I'm happy to report is Ronnie did me a favor. He hasn't charged us anything for his diagnosis on it. It did cost us $200 to have it towed up and back, and we have a voucher that's been submitted by John's Towing for that. So I am going to make a motion at this time that we put 59-2 out to bid as is and dispose of the vehicle.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. That's all I have on fire department. Anybody have any questions? Okay. Street department, Howie, what do you got?
Okay, the street department has been trimming the trees and fixing the road signs. They've also been doing road cut repairs for the water department and for their own roads, for their own street roads. Brush is being picked up every other week, and there's no shortage of brush. The grass is still being put out. Mike asked that you don't put the grass out because due to DEC regulations, we can't pick up grass clippings. He's suggesting we put a notice in the water bill to...
I think they did, right?
What I am going to suggest, I think it would be much more efficient, is that if we develop a notice, and when these guys are out picking up the brush, that they take the notice, and when they see the grass somewhere, they put it at the person's house.
Okay.
All right, not in the mailbox.
It's not,
Certainly knock on the door, see if anybody's home, if they can, hand it to them, but don't put it in the mailbox.
government property.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, and that way we're targeting the specific individual that is creating the problem for us, as opposed to doing an extra bulk mailing.
Okay. Currently, the mulch is sold out, but we plan on making more at the end of July.
I'd like you to reserve 8 yards for me for the fall.
Okay, we'll put that in for you. And I don't know if everybody got a readout here of the mulch sales over the last few years.
Yep.
It went from like $7,000 a year for 4 years there, up until 2 years ago we collected $11,000, and then this year we collected $13,725 for the sales of mulch. So the mulch sales have been going up. We did raise the price last year from $15 a yard to $20 a yard, but as you can see, the sales have increased.
What is the going rate, Howie? Do you have any
I
idea?
think it's around $40, right?
Yeah.
20 a yard.
What? No, for out in the street.
Going
Oh, I'm sorry.
Going rate.
Depends on
Is
where
that
you buy
something we
it.
should
It's-
continue to
It's
look
a
at?
deal.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a deal.
Yeah.
It's a good deal.
So when are we grinding again?
Mike has here the end of July.
End of July? Okay.
I also want to thank you guys in the street department for mowing our little retaining pond
Oh,
last week.
I'll let them know.
That's part of our maintenance
Do
program.
they usually
over
do
there.
that, or?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there's,
Remember we had, 2 years ago, we had Decker go in there and grade that whole thing off so we could mow it?
Yeah.
Yep.
the other retaining pond was done by the
But the owner.
homeowner.
previous
Now
owner-
there's a there's a
now-
successor owner now of that house, so hopefully they'll just start mowing it, but otherwise we may wish to add that to the list.
Well, if it becomes an issue, yeah, we should take a look at it.
I encourage them to continue the practice, though.
Yeah,
You go talk to them. It's your neighborhood.
like a good neighbor.
Yeah, that's right.
On one of the backhoes, the wheel drive broke down, but the repairs were done in-house. Truck number 7, the Dodge cab is rotting. Inspection's due. Mike is recommending we replace that truck with a used dump truck, 4x4. So we'll be looking around for a used dump truck possibly. We've been blacktopping when it's not raining, and Mike has quotes for a power broom and a dump truck. Does everybody have those quotes? No? Okay.
I don't have it. You
I don't think I have that.
I didn't receive it. Unless you put it in my folder this afternoon, after I left. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, there's, Mike called Central Hudson to look at taking this tree down at 38 Chestnut Street. It's a tree that the tree commission recommend taking down. Apparently Central Hudson saying it's not their tree. If there's any questions, you can call it. Here's the guy
So they
here.
don't care if it falls on their power lines?
I guess not.
Okay, so then let's let it fall on their power lines.
They told Mike it was their problem, so, our problem. So here's the guys from Central Hudson, if anybody wants to call him. He's in charge of trees. And there's another tree back that I'll talk about in our tree report that we can
This is
ask
the
him
one
about.
where we actually had a scope go in the
Yeah,
cabinet
yeah,
and
yeah,
we
yeah.
measured the cabinet.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had 2 professional opinions on this tree, so the tree commission recommends it's taken down. And last thing on here, Mike is looking for an easy pass for the garbage and recycling trucks and the dump trucks.
Why?
So he doesn't waste time chasing toll money, as he quotes here. But we're not gonna be having the garbage and recycling truck soon, so we'll talk about that with Mike. That's it from the highway department.
I don't know why we consider it chasing, having to drive from the highway garage to the village hall and get the toll money.
Or getting reimbursed. Or getting reimbursed, you know.
All you have to do is drive right here. They did it today. The girls get it out of petty cash and give it to them. Somebody's always here, so it's not like they're chasing anything.
Okay, that's it.
Well,
Now,
you
is that-
done?
No,
He's done with the street department report.
done with the report, but we want to talk about this proposal for engineering services to pave South Parsonage Street. Everybody has the report here?
Yeah.
Any comments?
Yeah.
It's expensive.
It's expensive. I understand the contract administration piece of this, but as far as not doing complete plans and specifications, it's still gonna total 34 hours of, expensive engineering work. And isn't it, in the trade, don't you just say, do the milling this depth where necessary, instead of having an engineer point out to these guys
Well,
every little bit that might be milled deeper or shallower? I mean,
That's one part. The other
they're in the
part.
trade, I
Yeah,
mean-
the other part has to do with the quality of blacktop that you get. And I read a bunch of the Annapolis controllers reports. People get actually villages getting screwed by getting substandard
Yeah.
blacktop. They're paying a lot of money for it.
It happened in Chicago.
The villages weren't doing their due diligence or having their engineering firm do their due diligence and doing samples of the blacktop that was put down, so they were getting inferior blacktop. So of course the taxpayer was paying for something, was being charged for something they weren't actually being provided. So the comptroller's office has been very, very critical of, there's about 10 different municipalities that I read about.
Long Island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Howie and I talked a little bit about this earlier, and my feeling is here, I think we need, at least this first time, because we've never done this before. We haven't done any blacktopping projects other than a little bit over there on Sunset and Knollwood when they put that drainage system in, but it wasn't a complete road resurfacing. And we don't have experience in developing these types of proposals. And the things we have to worry about here are not only specifications, but we have to worry about the payroll, meeting the payroll requirements because it's a prevailing wage job.
Bonding.
The bonding,
Well, that's,
the
I
testing
understand the
and all that.
contract administration part, yeah,
Okay.
that's
So,
an easy one.
I think, in my mind, I think we need to have somebody develop a plan for us so we have a template or a model to work off going forward in the future. Howie and I had also mentioned something about perhaps using Tom Mannix as a consulting engineer for development of this project. You know, I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes here, but, you know, this proposal is for $21,000. It's a lot of money.
But then the question is how much we anticipate the bill to be. If it's $180,000.
We're going to be over $100,000 on this project.
It may be.
Maybe more if you have to mill more.
Depending on how much we do.
Right, so
All right.
so in that case, it is, percentage-wise, it is
And
probably.
in my mind,
better.
where I'm kind of going with all of this is we have 3 projects we've identified here that we really should accomplish this year before bad weather. This one is an immediate need because we want to try and do this at least, at minimum, we want to do the piece from 308 to the top of the hill and get that done before school opens, again in the fall. All right? From a cost perspective, we have the CHIPS funding that's there. We've been told we can't use the CHIPS funding for West Market Street project, but I'm going to rattle the cage a little bit on that one because to me, they've helped us create this problem because they've continued to resurface this road, okay? They've lifted the blacktop level up so that some of the curbs are buried and the water runs over now and floods into properties. They say the CHIPS funding can't be used because it's a state highway. Well, you know, it's your highway and you're creating a problem here, and if there is liability or an accident, you're going to be held accountable too. And you're telling me I can't use this money to fix a problem on your road that you helped create. So I'm going to rattle the chain however I can to try and get some concession on this, but we have that project, we have the Chestnut Street drainage project, and we have this blacktop project. And we have 230-some thousand in chip funding, and it's not going to take too long to eat all of that up. So, you know, when it comes to this, I want to be as cost effective as we possibly can, so maybe going outside to a consulting engineer, and maybe we can save a little bit of money. So I'm just throwing that out there for you guys to think about and talk about.
One other thing I think we can save some money on here, I don't think we need to have additional parking spaces on what is now the mini park, and if we do that, it would be a micro park down on South Parsonage Street. I live in that area. I go by there 3-4 times a day, and I have in the last 6 or 7 years, maybe twice, seen people parking on the street because they couldn't find a parking space on that park. So, and then when the people park on the street, there's usually somebody in there because they're waiting for somebody. But I think that this is, I don't think putting a more blacktop in that small park that we have already, I don't think is a thing to do. So I am not.
The intent here was to include it in the package. It's up to the village board's discretion whether that gets done or not. It was proposed by somebody, so we took it into consideration. And Nancy, when you're developing this, include it, and we can eliminate it if we don't want it. But it's a village board decision.
Okay.
And just for the record, since you're talking about it, the tree commission is against expanding that parking lot also. A few tree commission members have kind of done their informal poll, and they have not seen an overflow of cars.
Yeah, I'm kind of against it too.
What I'm going to suggest too is that, you know, if we want to be serious about polling this thing, what we should do is set up a documentation schedule. And I did this with the municipal parking lot when I was on the farmers market board. And I went there because it was an analysis of what the parking lot usage was on Thursday afternoons. So I used to go there every week, and I did it for 33 weeks. I went there twice a day on Thursdays. So I had 66 times that I canvassed the use of the parking lot. Because just an occasional driving by and not writing anything down and documenting it isn't proof of what's actually going on. So if we're going to consider it, we should set up something like that, have something that documents exactly what the findings are.
I'm sorry, you mean if we want to do it or if we don't want to do it? If we want to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to
And again, that all relates to how we're advised in the Cornell Local Roads Program when we participate in these things, is that you should never go out and do work on a street or put in a sign or change anything unless you build a reason for doing it. And then do a study afterwards that justifies your findings. So
I'll be happy to do that.
So,
Okay,
getting
so-
back to the engineering thing, what are you proposing then, Jim? You want to talk to someone else first, or?
I think perhaps we should think about how we can do this more cost effectively, and maybe we don't need, I don't know, I'm throwing it out there to you guys.
Well, I already spoke to Tom Maddox.
My biggest concern when we're doing a project like this is that it be done right, and we don't leave ourselves open to legal challenge in any way, shape, or form. And we're dealing with a lot of issues here because we don't have the experience. So we're talking about the quality of the paving and the installation of it. We're talking about the accountability as far as prevailing wage, and we're talking about the testing procedures and bonding.
She's separated that bid document in the bidding phase.
And also the monitoring of the progress.
Right, which I'm all,
And the
I'm all
monitoring,
excited
we can
about
do
that.
that.
Yeah.
It's the testing that I'm concerned about.
Well, don't we have plants that
Plans?
plants?
Oh,
Well,
plans.
what happens, Brand, is they
The
pick the
asphalt
blacktop
we-
up, they bring it to the site, you're supposed to collect samples, and then have those
Well,
samples
in this area,
tested.
don't we all know where the plants and where it comes from?
Yeah, but
I mean, this isn't Long Island.
But, in other words, the contract specifies that you should have this type of hot asphalt mix. When it's delivered, you gotta test it and make sure you're getting what you're supposed to be getting. That's what that's all about. And that's what the comptroller's office has said, is that these municipalities have not been doing that, and they were getting inferior blacktop and paying for a better blacktop.
okay, so I mentioned this to Tom Mannix, and he said he's willing to look into it for us. He's a retired state transportation engineer. He helps the town with some projects, so he knows what he's talking about.
On the other hand, we have a village engineer,
Right.
But we also have a monetary crunch here.
And this is a pass-through with chips, but we don't want to squander
Well, we
any.
have these three projects we've identified, we gotta get done. And if we're talking about spending $21,000 here and then another $80,000 to $100,000 to do the project, we've taken half of our CHIPS budget.
Let me say one thing
And we still
about,
have to do Chestnut Street.
let me say one thing about Chestnut, because we're assuming we're going to go out to public bid on this, but that the bid, one of the bids that we had was just a shade over being under the public bid requirement. We could change the scope of the project and get it under the $35,000.
Well, what I'm gonna say here too, Brent, is that I've talked with two other contractors since we got the first one. And we have a very difficult dynamic over there, because the larger we go in pipe size, the less coverage we have over the top of the pipe, and because of the
Yeah, I know,
contours of the
there's not
land-
much of a
Yeah, and because
slope.
of the contour of the land, the pipe has to be put in the ground, it has to be bedded, put in the ground, compaction done over the top of it to make sure it doesn't come back out of the ground after you finish it. And because of the dynamic we have over there, sizing of the pipe is very, very critical, all right? There's question whether we can put a 30-inch pipe in the ground.
I think these guys
and have
already shot it, and they thought
have it
that,
stay in the ground.
they thought that they could do it because they shot it with the
A couple of
laser.
these guys told me they think we need to bring fill in.
But they haven't looked at it with a laser yet, I don't think.
I mean, I know they shot it with a transit.
They
This is
did?
what they're telling me.
Okay, well, it's,
It's really, really tight. So again, if we're gonna spend the CHIPS money, we wanna make sure that the project's done right. And, I mean,
I just don't want to go out to,
Rich, do you know for CHIPS, do you have to have an engineered plan to get reimbursed?
I don't know the regulations on
I doubt it, because sometimes it's just simple resurfacing, right?
Well, we should talk to
We're gonna have
Kathy
to look into
Kinsella.
it.
We should talk to Kathy Kinsella, who does it all the time. I don't think she has an engineer. Now, this fellow that you talked about, a retired person, what?
The town uses them as a consultant.
Town used them on the Hogs Bridge
And
project.
what is his charges per hour?
I don't know, but
We'd have to
I haven't
talk
told him, he doesn't know how much is, oh, he sees it on Panda, he's
And
gonna
then
know.
here we're talking, you know, $130 an hour, max.
Well, we can,
And again, the most critical thing here is timing, because if we're gonna go through this process and get it done before school, we gotta get going.
I know, I agree, and I agree we need professional help on this, but we should look at another person to help, maybe, you
You
know.
need to set up a meeting with you. Me and
If
Tom
you want to
Alex.
set up a
Okay.
workshop with us after you talk to Tom, then that's fine.
Yeah,
And we'll call a special meeting.
I tell you, when I went to this paint project, I thought maybe I could do it myself too. After I looked at it, I said, no way.
I'm not saying we can do this
No
ourselves.
way. There's so many angles, you know, and then we had a
Yeah.
big bidding process where we had a 3-to-1
Okay,
in terms of.
get a hold of Tom.
Okay.
What else you got?
That's all I have. We're not gonna talk about Chestnut and West Market drainage, because it's all part of the same.
You want to talk about trees now, or do
What
you want
about this?
that's later?
Yeah, I approve that.
Okay. Okay, planning and zoning. I want to discuss with you guys, Northern Dutchess Hospital, of course, is looking to do their expansion project. And the discussion has been back and forth with the planning board, and I've had a little conversation with them about sidewalk installations. And the fact that, you know, we had the pedestrian task force had developed this and presented to us a report that has been, adopted to the master plan that clearly identifies that we want to, when we have the ability, increase our pedestrian capacity and put sidewalks in. And I've been trying to convince the planning board that, you know, here's a perfect opportunity with this project to have them make this pedestrian connectivity and build a sidewalk all along all of the property that they own, whether it's on Route 9 or Montgomery Street. And apparently there's been some back and forth and give and take, and the planning board is, well, you know, it looks a little difficult on Montgomery Street topographically, and, you know, we really don't think that it's necessary. There's a sidewalk on the other side of the street. And my feeling is that if there's a topographical issue, that's not the village's problem. The person that owns the property owns the property. And saying that a sidewalk isn't necessary, does that mean that we're only supposed to have sidewalks on only one side of the street? I mean, I would think a good planning principle, and what we want to try and put forward here is we want sidewalks wherever we can put them, whenever we can get them. And when development happens, here's an opportunity. So far, the hospital has agreed to run a sidewalk from Montgomery Street all along the front of the campus and all the way up to where their property ends, and their property ends 2 buildings past the hospital. They own those next 2. So the sidewalk would go to there. However, on Montgomery Street, it's only going to go to about where that back entrance is that goes down into, you know, the emergency room entrance. And I feel it should extend the rest of the way on the properties that they own. There's 2 more properties they own there. So what I'm asking you guys is how you feel about this. Do we want to, in fact, take the opportunity to expand this as much as possible? Is this something the village board wants to say, no, this needs to happen?
You said before Montgomery Street, but I think you meant Route 9, right?
Route 9 is not an issue. They've agreed to do that. Montgomery
Main
Street
and there it goes up to the,
goes up towards Hogs Bridge.
to the Hawks Bridge. That's their property?
They own
Not that far.
toward Hudson.
Here's Route 9.
Yeah,
Montgomery Street goes this way, okay? You have the back entrance that goes in,
Right.
and, you know, the cafeteria entrance is over here, and you go around, and the birthing center is over on this side, the emergency room and all of that. They just put the wound care center in,
yeah,
okay? But when you go past this driveway, there's a property that Myron First used to live in that they own, and then there's a big old farmhouse
right.
that sits here that they own. So what I'm saying is the sidewalk,
Should
they've
go
agreed to connect it to here.
Yeah.
The
You
sidewalk
want to
should
here.
connect to here. Some will say it's a sidewalk to nowhere. We have sidewalks to nowhere already in this village. What I'm saying is, a good planning principle is to put that sidewalk in there now so future connectivity could be
And
made.
they may do something with these buildings here.
They may, and you could make the argument that, okay, if they come back for site plan approval there, then we'll
Then
have
we
them do it.
right.
But they may not either.
Right. Now, we have a sidewalk on the other side of the street.
Correct.
Right.
So,
I'd have to look at it.
Yeah, I'd like to look at the whole plan.
please do. They're coming back to the planning board on July 2nd. I believe it is. So please go up there and look. Give me your opinions.
Now, as far as the Route 9, I think that's great. Is there gonna be, can we do a crosswalk then to get over to the fairgrounds? Because that was also in that,
Well, that becomes a DOT issue,
yeah, I know, but I
So-
mean, eventually, we,
you know. You know, actually, the planning board has proposed a crosswalk close to this Montgomery Street intersection, and I'm not in favor of that simply because of that dynamic there.
right, it's
And how
too,
people fly
no,
around that
it's not
corner
good.
sometime. I mean, if they're gonna put a crosswalk in, there's one down past Astor Drive that goes across now. And if they're gonna put another crosswalk in, it needs to be farther away from Route 9 than where they're proposing it.
But I think one of the things that was mentioned was walkability to the fairgrounds was a goal. So if we get this, we're almost there, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I just, you know, Route 9 scares me when you talk about crosswalks,
It's true.
Even so that-
especially up there, because people are, now they're really accelerating to get out of the village. You know, ideally, you would have a crosswalk on the east side of Route 9, or a sidewalk on the east side of Route 9.
Right, but it ends, yeah.
Yeah, so.
It doesn't make it that far.
So please, you know, in the next few days, try and get up there and look at it, share your thoughts with me,
Okay.
okay? All right.
As far as zoning too, there's some sign and
Yeah,
outdoor,
I wanted to get to that too. I just want to kind of follow along what I had on the agenda here. The events code and the fair zoning thing.
okay.
I think we should tonight set a date for another public workshop. We have another meeting with the Fair Zoning Task Force next week. We've received comments. Everybody should be aware of those comments, be prepared to address them when we go back to the next workshop. I've had conversations with John as the chair of the Events Code Committee. I've had conversations, of course, with the people that are involved with the zoning committee. Have listened to, some residents have sent comments since the meeting, and there were the comments at the meeting. So I think we need to get another workshop, and we all need to be prepared to move forward. And my objective here is at the next meeting, we should be able to set a date to send this to public hearing, both of them.
I'm gonna be gone a lot in July. Starting the 3rd, so if we could.
17th? Wednesday?
Yes.
That's not work, can't work for me.
17?
John?
Are you talking July?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I'm going to be away that week. I'd like to be able to attend
Okay.
that meeting.
I'm throwing dates out here, and I'm trying to find out what we're doing.
13th to the 20th.
You're going to be out the 13th and 20th?
Yes.
What about the 24th, Brant?
No, I'm gonna be gone.
When are
I
you
mean-
here in July?
The last 3 days and the first 3 days. I mean, the 2nd, I could make the 2nd on Tuesday.
Well, that's a planning board meeting
I
that
think
we're supposed to go to, and a tree commission meeting.
Let's go with, how about the 30th of July?
Okay.
John, 30th? Heinz?
Okay.
Okay.
Jim, when, I got something every day. When is our, the meeting that you and I are having with the fairgrounds?
Next week on the... Where are we here?
I don't have it in here.
I thought it was on the 20th, man. Looks like I don't have it here either. I'm gonna have to confirm it.
Well, yeah, we'll
I'll let you know,
talk about it later.
but it's next week.
Okay.
I thought it was Thursday. I could be wrong. I'll confirm it with you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're gonna go with the
Yes.
30th, right?
6.
No, 7. Okay. All right, and then on to this, as Brant mentioned, sign issue. Bob Fennell is in a very, very uncomfortable position. And I am noticing more and more abuses of our sign law and our sidewalk sale law. And we need to start taking a stand. I walked down East Market tonight, and there was at least 4 illegal signs put out that I know haven't been approved. And it's almost as though people are just thumbing their noses, Bob. And I don't think it's fair to Bob to put him in a position where he writes a letter and then people just kind of laugh at him and say, you know, you're not going to do anything about it. My question to you as our attorney is, we've been through a sign enforcement case before, and it was sent out of town to another court. You know, I don't feel personally that we were treated fairly in court, but it is what it is. Are we in a position where every time we want to bring somebody to take an action against somebody, that we're going to be in a situation where it's going to be sent to a court in another jurisdiction because the judges don't want to be involved in it? Is there any action we can take? For example, right now, if I want to walk down East Market Street, pick up every one of those illegal signs and bring it down here, do I have grounds to do that?
No. No, I mean, why the judges recused themselves on the last one, I don't know. I don't know.
It's political. You got to run for office.
I mean, we have the right to bring.
Plain and simple.
Yeah, we have the right to bring the actions in our local justice court. Why they would recuse on each one. You know, every other municipality I've worked in, they take the sign violations in their local court.
We got to do something to help Bob out. I tell you, if I was him, I wouldn't want the job. I'd quit.
But the justices have been endorsed by both Democrats and Republicans. There was no opposition. So I don't understand why they would not want to...
Well, all I can tell you is they recused themselves. They wouldn't handle the case.
Well, they've only had the one, and I don't remember the
If they were going to be in the same situation all the time, what do we do?
I mean, we have the right to enforce our code, but
I mean, you know the facts of the last time. You know, what are you doing picking on this poor guy? You know, well, how about he's breaking the village law?
So not being a lawyer, but if we bring a judge here, it would be different than if we adjudicate it somewhere else, right?
When a judge recuses, the case is assigned out to the county, and the county reassigns to another judge. So we don't have any part in bringing a judge in.
And do they use the next local judge that they can find? 'Cause that's what seemed what
I
happened
don't know
last time.
exactly how that works. It goes down to the county, and the county assigns it out.
I mean, if we went to the same, if we ended up in the same place, could we ask for a change of venue?
No,
That's the question I asked the last time.
It's not a provision for that. I mean, you know, unless you can show some bias or something along that line.
Well, something went wrong.
But
No proof.
bias, it's
No
just.
proof.
But if we have codes and laws here, and then we can't enforce it, and the judicial system will not support us in doing that.
Yeah, I mean, sending the letters out doesn't do anything. You have to send an auditor remedy out. If they fail, then we have to bring them into court. I mean, if the judges are going to continually recuse, and I mean, we're going to wind up in another court.
What about the clutter? Can that be enforced in a different manner with the local constabulary, or?
Well, I mean,
Say
we may
get
have
your sign-
different, I mean, if they're blocking the sidewalks, maybe we can cite them under the sidewalk, but you gotta go through the same process.
Well, Bob had written in that, when he responded in that email, his feeling was the police should be handling it, but
Why, I haven't seen any of them, so why don't I sit down with Bob and see what the issues are?
all right. We need to do something, 'cause to me, it's getting out of hand.
Yeah, particularly.
And the next thing you know, Rhinebeck's not gonna look like it's supposed to look, because everybody and their brother is gonna have a sandwich board out in front of their store, and
Tables.
tables and chairs, and the sidewalks are gonna be blocked.
One of them put straw out.
Okay,
There's one more.
what else we got on planning and zoning?
Didn't Karen want some vacation
Vacation
buyout?
buyout.
I don't know if I can find it. It's
She
here
wants
somewhere.
12 days. No, she has to. It's like 10 days.
Yeah. Sounds familiar.
What's the policy? Guess it's,
They ask for it and we approve it.
well, no, but I mean, if they want all of it, do they get just part of it, or?
They can ask for whatever they want. Do you have it there?
Yeah, I am.
I thought I had it in my planning and zoning stuff, but I don't see it here. Okay, Karen is asking to buy out 10 vacation days. She has accumulated 22 days and could really use money during financially difficult times. So you want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve Karen's vacation buyout as read.
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted.
On
Okay.
same subject, excuse me, Jim, we have this 47 West Market Street.
Yep, I was just going to get to that.
Okay.
Based on the last meeting, of course, you all know, we had those folks from the Oak Street neighborhood were here and shared their comments with us. So from that meeting, based on what I took away from that meeting, I made some contacts. And the first person I spoke with was a woman named Noni Kelly Jacob. And she is the facilities manager for 3 different facilities for Occupations, Inc. Occupations, Inc. is one of the tenants in that building. She manages that facility and 2 other facilities for Occupations, Inc. And the information she provided me with was when the county decided to abandon that facility and do away with their treatment program, that the county had asked Occupations, Inc. to come in. And Occupations, Inc. basically is a program that treats mental health issues in a group environment. It's not a one-on-one, it's just group situations. So what happens is these people are brought in by taxi cab and they're dropped off and they're supposed to go inside for treatment. And she said they do struggle at times with people that come and refuse to go in for treatment. And I said, well, you know, what we are going to suggest then, and I think you realize the same thing, is that if these people aren't coming here and getting treatment like they're supposed to, then they should not be here. And she agreed with me 100%. She said it's very difficult, you know, at times to make this happen. Roughly, they deal with about 100 clients over there. They're not all, there's not 100 here at a time, but basically they have 100 clients. Their program is to help these people transition back into society, you know, reestablish skill sets that they can use so that they can be a valuable part of the community. They stay for a large portion of the day, but they're usually not here all day. They'll come in maybe in the morning and then go home early afternoon, or come in late morning and go home late afternoon. A second group operating out of the facility is Hudson Valley Mental Health, and all of these organizations are contracted for by the county. Hudson Valley Mental Health only does individual treatments. They deal with people one-on-one. So that's what Hudson Valley Mental Health does. I had asked Noni when I talked to her to get me the contact information for people in these other organizations so I could reach out to them. And I haven't heard back from her yet, but I am going to follow up with her. The other organization operating out of there is the Lexington Center for Recovery. They only operate there 1 day per week. It is an outpatient substance abuse treatment program, plain and simple. I did speak with County Executive Molinaro. He said that when the county was operating it, they were dealing with clients that had substance abuse problems. So substance abuse problems are not new to the facility, but they may be on a larger scale. We don't really know because we don't have a clear determination. We never vetted the process, and that's where the question remains, is exactly what's operating there and how does it apply to the zoning law. Based on the meeting with Noni Jacob, I did get a phone call, what's today, Tuesday, I think I got a phone call last Friday from Jim DeStefano, who is the president of Occupations, Inc. And he reassured me that their wish is to be an asset to this community and not a detriment to this community, and Noni had expressed this also. They want to be good neighbors. What I can say is they have addressed some of the problems that we've had over there already. I had mentioned several things to them, employees parking on the street instead of in the parking lot in the back, and the employees are now using the parking spots in the parking lot so that the street parking is not all taken up. I had mentioned about the fact that clients were standing on the sidewalks and smoking cigarettes and blocking the sidewalks, cigarette butts all over the ground. They had a policy in place where the clients weren't allowed to smoke on the property. They have since amended their policy, and now they have a gazebo in the back, and the clients are allowed to smoke on the property by the gazebo. So they've been working to address that issue. Maintenance of the property was brought up as far as the grass being cut and those types of things, and she said when I talked with her, she didn't know whose responsibility it was, but she would look into it, and there has been some maintenance that's been addressed. So there has been some things, but the question still remains is that how does this operation apply according to the zoning law? The site plan is ancient. It comes from when that facility was first established years and years ago, and it's definitely not a site plan for what's happening there now. So Bob had reached out to the property owner, Mr. Kalnagi, and apparently was referred to the property manager, and the property manager told Bob that he was going to be in the hospital or something for some surgery. He would respond by June 3rd. Bob has not heard back from him, has attempted to call him. There's been no voicemail or answering machine ability. So we are in the position now where we're kind of out in a lurch. And earlier when I saw Rich, when he first got here, I said that, I think what we need to do here is he, as the village attorney, needs to contact the property owner and say, we want your cooperation. However, if you don't come forward with what we're asking you to provide us, we will issue a cease and desist, and you'll have to go before the Zoning Board of Appeals. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Does anybody have any comments?
Is Bob in on this, that Rich is going to be the point person on this?
Yeah, well,
okay.
Bob and Rich were corresponding back and forth, and Rich has said, we can send a cease and desist, and they'll have to go to the ZBA. So I said, I think we should make one more attempt to the property owner, because it appears as though the property manager is not responding. The property owner did, and now the property manager hasn't followed through. So as long as you guys are okay with us proceeding that way, that's how we'll handle it. Heinz?
No, I'm for it.
All right? So that's where we'll go. Okay? What else?
Well, I know it's on here about the tables, so I just ran into Bob Fennell, and he says, you know, what do you guys want me to do? But basically, it's the same thing as with the signs, just somebody has tables out there, and
Yeah.
they're resisting Bob's attempts to tell them to take the tables down. So,
It's becoming a joke now, you know? And it's time to play, I hate to say it, but it's time to play hardball.
because I have other people asking me, why does that guy have
Yeah.
tables? Why
Well,
can't
that's
I
what
have
happens,
tables,
yeah,
you know?
Yes,
So-
yeah.
exactly, you know? And the perception is that it's selective enforcement, you know? And I think you guys know how I feel, and I think we all feel, is that, you know, the law gets applied equally to everybody. And we're to the point now where we have to, us as a village board need to take the stand, because the people are just now saying, well, we're just not gonna pay any attention to Bob. The village board's not doing anything. So. Okay?
Okay.
Anything else on planning and zoning? Police and court? You guys got the incident report, right? Right?
I haven't seen it.
No? I thought I was the only one that didn't get it. Well,
You got it.
yeah, I got it. None of us,
Well, you're the-
none of us
you're the
got it. You
police
gave it
chief.
to me today.
Oh, she should have copied it for everybody. I thought she had.
All right. Well, at any rate, I mean, there's nothing major in the incident report. You all saw my press release regarding the parking violations downtown. So the guys, we started in and we are aggressively targeting people now. The unfortunate part is that you can't be everywhere at one time, so, but I think the word's getting out. It seems that it's kind of abating a little bit, but you still have to stay on top of it. And, the way the whole thing arose was there was a near miss with the ambulance. Infringement on the crosswalks. Somebody walked out. Ambulance couldn't see him coming out and almost hit him. So that's what triggered the whole thing. So Pete has scheduled extra manpower, and they are aggressively writing tickets, and hopefully we can get people to start complying and make this problem go away. Wayne?
Okay. Well, I stand before you this evening disheartened on one hand and elated on the other, to probably be in my last evening before you as the project manager of the police station, because
Oh, boy.
because we're done.
You guys didn't tell them about the other project?
As you all know, we're moved in, we have a certificate of occupancy, and we have some things that we need to address, but I just wanted to give you a brief synopsis of where we are and some of the things that we need to accomplish as we go a little bit forward, but for the most part, you know, I think we're pretty much at the end of this road. As far as the financial obligations that we have outstanding, we have $31,000.58 still due to Meyer Contracting at this point. And I'll talk a bit about that briefly as we go forward. But we have closed out two of the primes. Ackerman Plumbing has provided us with all the closeout documents, which included all the OEM manuals, the satisfactions of lien, the surety and bonding satisfactions, and the warranties. You have been presented with a requisition for their final payment, which has been approved by myself and the architect. Same goes for our HVAC contractor, Dutchess Mechanical. They have, again, provided us with all the OEM manuals, our warranties, our lien releases, and things of that sort. So of the four prime contractors that were involved in the project, two of them have really been closed out, and you have requisitions for final payment. The two contractors I mentioned are Meyer in the amount of $31,058, and we also have Eris Electronics, which we owe $5,390 to. And we are awaiting, in regard to the electrical contractor, we're awaiting the OEM manuals and the lien releases and things of that sort. We do have a light fixture that's on order. It's not a big scenario, you know, it's going to come. But for the most part, they have completed all the punch list items, and I'm real confident that that's going to be taken care of. So the big scenario that we have to deal with is our general contractor, which is Meyer Contracting. We have some issues with the interior of the building in regard to the doors operations and hardware items. I have scheduled a meeting with Mike Davis and Phil Zemke, our architect. We're going to meet at 3 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. I have had repeated conversations with Mike Davis and Phil Zemke, our architect, in regard to our concerns in regard to the door hardware. We've had continued problems. They come and fix it, and then 2 days later, you know, we have somebody locked in a bathroom, that kind of scenario. So I'm confident, quite frankly, that we will have this addressed on Thursday. However, I'm not confident, quite frankly, that this is a scenario that's going to just go away. After, I think we're going to have to live with some of these problems because the construction practices and the installation of these door units and door bucks, they're steel door bucks, and there's going to come a time at some point where we're going to have to come to some type of arbitration and come up with some type of dollar amount that we're going to live with. Because I quite frankly feel that this is a scenario that we're going to live with over a period of time. So there's going to have to be some kind of give and take here. And I don't know where that's going to go, quite frankly, but you know, we're going to address it together with me and Phil, and I'll bring that back to the board. And there's going to have to be some type of remediation in regard to that. The other issue that we have with Meyer Contracting is the concrete repair that was done on the handicap ramp in front of the building, as well as the sidewalk repair in order to meet code and enable us to get our certificate of occupancy. Their stance has been that in regard to the handicap ramp, they felt that this was a repairable scenario with an epoxy grout. We were steadfast in the fact that we wanted it removed and replaced. And in regard to the sidewalk issue, where we had a scenario where the concrete pad that they installed did not meet the existing sidewalk and we had a slip and fall scenario, again, we were steadfast and said, we want it replaced. We felt that the construction methods were not performed in an adequate manner, and we made it very clear that we were not going to accept it. From the onset, they took the position that this was a unreasonable request, and they felt that the existing sidewalk that was there was not their problem because it was existing, and they put the concrete pad up to the existing sidewalk, and they constructed it in a manner that was professional and adequate. We have taken the position that we felt strongly that that was not the case. The end result was that they did, in fact, remove 3 sections of the sidewalk, the existing sidewalk, and made it adapt to the concrete pad that they installed, and they did, in fact, remove the handicap section that was cracked and replaced it. But they put in writing that they felt that this was an unreasonable request, but they did it because we made the stand that we didn't feel it was. So we have a potential change order that has been presented to us in writing that they feel under the contract stipulations that it's an unreasonable request, and this is a scenario that we're going to have to deal with. The amount of that potential change order was $3,168, and they have put in writing that they feel that they need to be paid that. We have sent a letter back to them, again explaining our position, that we felt that the construction process was not done in an adequate manner, and we put that in writing to them. But this is a scenario that is going to have to come to some type of an agreement at some point. Again, we have $31,000 of their money. And I had a lengthy conversation today with Mike Davis in regard to that outstanding balance. And he has requested that, that I present to the board that we pay them half of that money. And he's willing to accept the fact that we can retain $15,000 approximately, whatever half of $31,000 is. He's requesting that we retain the $15,000 as a contingency scenario until we get these issues resolved with the doors and this potential change order of $3,168, which quite frankly I think is very fair. So I would like to present to the board that we do in fact agree to pay them, because the monetary value of the scenario of the doors and the potential change order in regard to the concrete repair, I don't think is going to come anywhere near $15,000, but I think that's a fair scenario. I mean, we do owe them $31,000. I don't think it's fair that we keep that much money in abeyance.
Do we still have contract retainage?
Yes. We still have retainage in the amount of $23,325.
I just want to state for the record, just so everybody is aware, that when this sidewalk was installed from the front porch to the existing sidewalk, and Wayne's mentioned that there was a slip and fall scenario, but what the problem was here is that because of that slip and fall scenario, the CO could not be issued for the building.
That's right.
And if it was not repaired, we would never get a CO for it.
Right.
So, you know, to me, my whole stance on it was that they never discussed with us any issues surrounding, to my knowledge, any issues surrounding a problem with this sidewalk installation. And that's why I don't feel we should be responsible for having to correct a problem which they created and they claim was perfectly fine because they installed it the way they were supposed to. To me, you know, you don't create a problem and then say, well, you know, we're not responsible for it.
Yeah, and I totally agree with Jimmy in that regard. And, you know, we have discussed it at length, and I've discussed it personally with Mike and Davis, who is the project manager for Meyer. And they understand where we're coming from. I mean, this is a game we're going to play here, and at some point there's going to be a meeting of the minds in some regard down the road at some point. I mean, they have, under the contractual scenario, they have the potential to litigate, quite frankly, and that perhaps may be a scenario that we perhaps may run into at some point. Quite frankly, I really think that perhaps we're going to come to some kind of an agreement, because we have this door issue.
I think the contract calls for mediation prior to it, and litigation is the
Right.
I mean, there's contractual remedies under it.
And there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to sit down and negotiate something.
Right.
So, I mean, the real issue here is you've got the $23,000 contract retainage, and I guess you get this $31,000 final claim for work.
Right.
Which is whether the board wants to get half of it, and then you have your contract retainage plus half of the final payment.
Yeah, and this door issue, this is a problem. And you know, we're going to live with this for a while. I mean, actually, probably for a long time. Because the door bucks were not installed properly. We have scenarios presently where we have had these guys come in and actually take a Sawzall and cut the door bucks, you know, the strike plates open for, you know, like 3.5 inches more than they were supposed to be opened up in order to accommodate the door to close. We have scenarios where we have cardboard behind hinge plates in order to make the door closes. So, you know, this is not acceptable, in my opinion. And I'm going to address all of these issues on Thursday at our meeting. But the scenario that we have here, unfortunately, is that these door bucks are in place and we have sheetrock installed around the door bucks and trim installed around the door bucks. So in order to really fix this thing right, I mean, we're talking about ripping out ripping out doors and ripping out door bucks and ripping out sheetrock, ripping out trim in order to make this thing right. And in some scenarios, actually replacing door bucks in order to accommodate and make this thing work. And on top of that, we accepted the fact that these commercial doors that were installed in this building have door edges that are not the same color and don't even match the faces of the doors. So we have a lot of ammunition here in regard to where we're going with this whole thing. So I feel confident that at some point, due to the scenario with the doors and the concrete scenario, we're going to come to some kind of a financial agreement where we're going to say, okay, considering the scenario in order to fix what's bad and the ramifications of doing that, we're going to look at a financial remediation.
So why can't we do that now and say,
well, we
see how
can.
much it costs to fix these doors before we give them any money back?
Well, I mean, that's the board's.
I mean, why do we have to wait? You're saying it's going to take a long time. We're going to be living in
Well,
this
it's not
for
going to take a long time. My point in regard to us accepting the scenarios that we have.
Well, Wayne's trying to tell us here, there could be a trade-off here.
Right.
I know, but
They're going to eat the sidewalk repair, and we're going to accept the doors, basically.
But how do we?
Yeah,
know how
but
much
there's
it's
going to be a monetary scenario far and above the $3,168 PCO, the potential change order. There's going to be a financial scenario where we're going to meet in the middle somewhere. And I think it's going to eat up a lot of the $15,000. I don't think we're really, quite frankly, that far into it. But
rather than debating the issue here tonight on what you aren't going to finally settle on, because we have contract remedies on it, the board should just decide whether or not you're going to release half of it or not, or just wait until you resolve the outstanding issues.
I think we should release the 15,000. I think we don't want an excessive holdback, so I'm willing to do that.
I think it's reasonable. My personal opinion is I think releasing them $15,000 is a good gesture on our part, so that we can get into a scenario where we have a good, you know my point here.
Better position to negotiate.
Right.
Everybody in favor of that? We still have 15 in the pocket, and we
Plus
still have 23
23,
retainage.
right?
We still got $38,000.
So that's more than enough to fix the doors, in your estimation,
Correct.
and the sidewalk.
Sidewalk's already fixed.
Sidewalk's fixed.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
All right?
yeah.
All right? Good.
Wayne, who's your negotiating partner? I mean, who, you say many times we. The architect. The architect.
Yeah, he's a contract administrator or whatever.
Contract administrator.
I'll also point out that, Phil is not charging us anything anymore. And he's very actively involved in a lot of this scenario, and he's been more than unbelievable in getting a lot of things accomplished.
Let's continue to move forward. I just want to, at this time, I want to thank you, and I want to thank Brant. You guys put a tremendous amount of time and effort into the development of this project and seeing it through to fruition, and
And it looks good.
I know I can speak for the entire community and say that that is a beautiful building we have over there. And the police force is ecstatic about being in there, and I can't say as I blame them after 45 years in a tin can, or 45 months in a tin can.
Right.
But, thanks to you and Brant and working with Phil, and,
Pete Dunn had an awful lot to do with it, too. He did a lot of work, too.
yeah, really appreciate that we're where we're at now.
It's been an incredible journey, and Brant has been a huge part of this, and our Sergeant Dunn, I can't say enough about how wonderful he's been, patient, and been a big supporter of us, and been very, very involved in decision making. So it's been it's been a great journey. One more issue I just want to bring up, and Rich, perhaps you can give me some guidance in this regard. We have the last issue, well, not the last issue, other than the issues that I've spoken about, but we still have not received our emergency generator, of which we spent $14,300 back in February. And I have had repeated conversations with the vendor in regard to acquiring our emergency generator, and I keep getting rebuffed, and I don't get answers, and I don't get return phone calls. And we're quite frankly in a scenario at this point where, you know, we've had some power outages and it's caused some problems to our computers, and I can't get answers from these folks. So
I thought it was delivered, they had it, and we were waiting for the trailer to go out.
well, that was what it was. That a couple of weeks ago, I had a conversation with them in regard to when it was going to be delivered, and they said it was on the truck. It was going to be delivered. And I said, well, okay, that's great, because we've got to move the trailer, and it would have been in the way and things of that sort. And then as we got closer to the trailer being moved, I started making phone calls, and now I'm not getting any return calls. And so I don't really know whether they ever received the generator at this point. And I called them this morning, and quite frankly, I wasn't very nice, and I left a message because nobody answers the phone. And I said, we have a board meeting tonight, and I need to provide some kind of information to the board in regard to where this thing is. And I never received a return call again. This is the third time that I haven't received a return call. So I don't know, I'm kind of up in the air where to go.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Wayne, did you say we paid for it already?
Yes. So I'll continue to pursue it, obviously, but perhaps a phone call from...
Get together with Rich.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
John, did you need to talk to us? No? Just came to visit?
I just came from Dick Wayne.
Okay, next item's dog report. And we have a dog report for April and May. And Roger is telling us there have been several dogs called in lost. At this time, he believes they have all been found because he has not heard any more. The heat and thunderstorms are really a problem for pets that are outside most of the time. He picked up a small dog on Mill Street on the 31st of May. The owner, Karen Howard, came and claimed this dog soon after I picked it up. She was charged $20 for redemption. The dog is licensed in Rhinebeck. It has been a quiet 2 months. Red Hook dog control officer, I guess it is. Looks like DLO, but probably DCO, has been a real big help when I'm not available. Also, the Rhinebeck PD has been a great help. That's dog report. Howie, Tree Commission.
Okay, well, we're looking forward to our next tree planting to be held on November 2nd, and we're looking for some nice, strong volunteers out there if you'd like to help us. That's our fall tree planting. Tree fell down. I don't know if you want to talk about this. We got a bill for that tree that fell down.
Yeah, we got to talk about it.
You want to talk about it now?
I got it in correspondence.
Okay, we'll talk about that later on. And then the aforementioned tree at 38 Chestnut Street, which Mike Wolf, the highway foreman, had called Central Hudson to get some help with that, and they said that they won't take that down, so now you're gonna try to call them, Jim?
I will try and speak with this Pete McFarland.
Okay.
I have several other trees I need to talk to him about.
Okay. So we have a request, this is the second page, at 60 Chestnut to take a tree down by Kiki Steel, and the commission agreed that should be removed since it's clearly dead. It is thought that the highway department might be able to remove it since it's not a very large tree. Mike's going to look at that for me. So that's the only tree takedown that we have a request for, so I make a motion that we approve taking that tree down.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted.
Aye. And then there was another tree which is a healthy tree which one neighbor wanted to take down of another neighbor's property, and the other neighbor whose house it's on said yes, but he is not the one who applied for the tree to be taken down, so we decided as a tree commission for two reasons not to take it down. It's a healthy tree, and we would like to have the homeowner request to have the tree taken down.
No, I understand the homeowner. My question is, it says here that the two trees are intertwined.
Right.
And what I would offer, the tree commission has looked at both of these trees and said that this is okay because trees too close to each other aren't good for, it causes problems with them. So if they're intertwined, I don't understand why the tree commission wouldn't be in favor and would say that they're both healthy.
Well, if you look at them, they're healthy.
Right, but if they're too close to each other, it's going to create a problem. One of the trees will fail.
Okay, well, there's a lot of trees out there.
That's why you're supposed to space them properly.
Yeah.
You know? But if we haven't received a request from the property owner, we shouldn't be doing anything.
Right. Okay. We have two vacancies on the tree commission, and we have two people that want to join. Now, our question is, do we need a formal application?
No.
Okay.
Letter of intent.
I have that one person that applied for it seems to be eminently qualified for
For a lot of things.
for the plans and controls. If you read her CV,
Right.
and she's so eager to work for the village and do something constructive, I think we ought
So are you telling me you're volunteering her for that?
to. No, we ought to reach out to her.
committee, though.
We ought to reach out to her. She's a lawyer, and she
Well,
has a
she's
huge
also, you know who she is?
Yeah.
Okay. So you need somebody for the finance and controls?
It's dormant at this point,
Okay,
unless
well,
you guys
Well, I
have
think
different ideas.
we should talk about it when we get to the point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are we doing with these two people? They both,
They came to a meeting to see what it was like, and they both.
yeah, and they both have submitted letters.
Well,
to-
the one person has, and the other one hasn't. So
We should have something in writing from the
Okay.
person. The one that,
Right.
I mean, I'm in favor of approving the one that's sent something to us.
Okay.
She just needs to clarify her terminology a little bit. For somebody that grew up on a 1,000-acre farm, she still calls the ground dirt.
Okay.
And it's not dirt, it's soil. Dirt's
So-
what you sweep up off the floor.
Okay.
I
Let me
like
change that for her.
I like that letter.
I
like
swapped
that letter.
soil
That
for
was cool.
concrete. There you go.
From Virginia, though, maybe it's different vernacular.
So
I had an ag teacher in school. He used to go ballistic when you called it dirt.
Well, but there is an organization in Red Hook which is sponsored, I think, by the things in Millbrook, and they call it Dutchess Dirt. Their organization.
It's just a vernacular for their organization.
Right, yeah.
You don't till dirt, you till soil.
Soil, right.
Okay, so do I make a motion to accept this person? Okay, I make a motion, we accept Judy A. Merritt for the
And the
tree
tree
commission?
commission's on board with this, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted.
And then the other person will have to write a letter.
Have them, ask them to send in a letter of intent
Okay,
with a background.
okay. I just want to mention one other thing. We had a friend of the tree commission pass away last month. Wendell Bouts passed away, and he and his wife have come to all the tree plantings, and the tree commission sends its condolences to the Bouts family. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. Website, anybody got anything? Finance and controls. We had discussed a little bit last month about cash procedures, and I think we really need to get something in place on that, on how we want to handle this. So I would really like to see this group get together and work on that, as it applies to the two different situations we were talking about with mulch sales. I think we need a policy. I think we already have determined what we want the policy to be, that,
Right.
all of the cash should be exchange hands here, and then the other thing was with the scrap iron, So if that group could
What if,
address those two issues, and especially seeing as the comptroller is going to be coming in, probably be a good idea to have all of this stuff addressed ahead of time.
Preemptive.
can we do it informally, like between Pat and Lisa and me, and I'll confer with
I don't
Heinz?
see why not.
I still
It's a
think
matter of coming up with a policy.
I still think that lady, that Judy, we just talked about, we ought to reach out to her and find out if she would be interested to join that group.
Butter her up.
I'd be happy to talk to her. I mean, if you agree, I mean, you're the man there, Brent.
Yeah,
She's not a lawyer. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Well, that's not a numbers thing. We're talking about money here.
Are there excellent members on the Finance and Controls Committee?
We have none.
I know.
It's just the two of us right now.
I think you guys and the staff
Can do that.
Yeah. What about the zoning board of appeals? Do we have a person to replace Carol?
To my knowledge, no.
I might have somebody in mind. I'll make a call.
I thought somebody had said the zoning board was talking about some people.
I don't know. Nobody came forward to me.
But I haven't heard anything. When I see Francois, I'll ask him.
Okay.
I see him pretty much every day. Okay, other business. Sir, you are here to talk with us, correct?
Yes, Mayor.
All right, come on up to the microphone and please state your name and where you live for the record.
My name is Craig Page, and I live in Hyde Park, but I work here in Rhinebeck at Gigi's Restaurant. Worked there since the beginning of April. I've come to request a citizenship waiver for parking for Livingston Street, and that stretch that of 2 blocks. I've submitted letters.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
They speak for themselves.
You know, what I would like to ask you is there no ability for accommodation on the Montgomery Row building property for you to park there because of your disability?
Well, I've tried very hard not to. I mean, I could probably get a placard, but I'd rather not. I think there's other folks that can make much better use of those than myself.
I see a lot of empty parking spots on Livingston. Nobody uses it. I don't know how many permits have ever been issued, but everyone that lives there seems to have a driveway. So I think that would be a better direction for me to go than using.
Yeah. You know, the only thing I can say, none of us were on the board when that permit system was put in place, but there was a big problem with the fact that people were parking in front of all of the houses, and there was no parking for people that had additional cars that their driveway may not handle, or their guests that wanted to come visit. Okay. So the village board prior had put this all into place. My concern, the first thing I thought of when you made this request is, okay, if we do grant this request, and not that we shouldn't, but if we do grant it, do we set a precedent whereby if 10 more people come in and want the same accommodation, are we putting ourselves in a position where we have to grant all of these accommodations? Otherwise, again, it's a selective process, and you're open up to saying I'm being, you know, people can say you're discriminating against me because you won't allow me to do it. So what I did was I talked to our attorney. He said he needs to do some research on the law. All right, and once he advises us, then we can give you an opinion on what we can do.
And do we have a turnaround on that, sir?
I just got it, so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he just became aware of the situation today.
Oh, okay.
So what we'll do is we'll have him do his due diligence, and then we'll be able to look at it from there.
All right.
You know, what I would suggest is if you have the ability to use a handicap parking spot, do that.
Well, as I said, I really don't want to have to do that, but you know, I see ample parking on Livingston that isn't used, and then I certainly understand the residents' concerns and then what is the probability that, and of course, now I'm not going to go running down the street saying I got a permit, but you know, so I'm not going to advertise the fact that that was granted to me, and perusing the records appears to be an issue. Do we know how many permits have been issued since it was enacted?
We'd have to look through the files in the clerk's office, you know. That's the only way we can ascertain that.
Okay.
You know, it's a matter of looking, and I mean, a lot of the records are buried down in the basement, you know.
So, but you know, what are the probabilities that you're going to get a rush on citizenship waivers for parking permits?
There's always a possibility.
Well, granted, but like I said, they're not going to.
This meeting is being recorded. It'll be on TV. The minutes are available on the website. You never know who's going to read it, who's going to see it, and who's going to ask for it.
Okay, I understand.
So, it's not a closed-door session, you know?
Well, grant, okay, and I understand that as well. And I appreciate y'all's time. Again, I understand you just got it, but,
Well, I'll try and get something back to the mayor in the next week or so.
all right. I'm just curious, I mean, other than being concerned about, you know, everybody and their brother wanting a permit because I got one, are there any other legal issues? I mean, is that, what legal issues are we concerned
I
about?
don't even know if the board has the power to do it at this point.
Really? They don't,
I haven't read through it. I got it today.
okay,
See, these are the types of obstacles that we run into as a legislative body.
Right.
Is that you have to make sure that you look at every situation and address every legal condition so that you don't put yourself in a position where you're subject to scrutiny, lawsuit, et cetera, et cetera. And it's the most frustrating thing about being in government is how long it takes to do something.
well, I spent a long time working for the government, so
Yeah.
I understand government frustration.
Okay.
But, well, I
So
guess,
we'll follow through.
okay,
You know, you can certainly, you know, if you don't hear back from us, say within the next week to 10 days, I mean, we have your email address, right? Did you send by email or was that?
no, I dropped them off, I'll be honest, I don't, honestly.
What we have his contact information.
Did I include that in the letter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 71 Hanging Road.
Yep. Yeah, we have an address for you.
Okay, good.
All right. Do you want to share a phone number?
Sure, absolutely.
Go ahead.
It's 845-233-4291.
Okay. Once Mr. Olson apprises me of the situation, I will be in contact.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Mayor, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Lisa, thanks for all your help.
Okay. We need to pass a resolution tonight to designate signatures for the bank depository. So I need somebody to make a motion to adopt a resolution to that effect, that the Village Board of Trustees of the Village of Rhinebeck hereby designate M&T Bank as the official depository bank for the Village of Rhinebeck. Village Board of Trustees also resolve that 2 signatures are required for any withdrawals from any village account to an outside vendor, and that the 2 signatures must be a combination of signatures from the current Village Board members and the Village Clerk Treasurer. This is effective May 31st, 2013. The following are the official designated signatures: Lisa Biscardi, James O. Reardon, Howard Trout, Heinz Sauer, Brant Nuniker, Heath Tortorella. I need a motion.
I make a motion to accept the resolution as stated.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
One question, is that a recurring thing that has to be done every year? Or?
Every election.
Every election?
After there's an election, you have to do it. Okay. All the board members are in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Any other business?
You know this?
AT&T Wireless has approached us with for additional lease space next to the shelter for a generator. So I asked for more specific information with its specification sheet for the generator, and I also offered the larger shelter to see if they could stick everything inside what was formerly the police station shelter. We could sell it to them, so I'm waiting to hear back.
Okay. All right. Other business, we have a recommendation from Nancy Clark. Harold Construction had constructed the 2 handicap crosswalks last year, and we have retainage on hand, and Nancy is recommending that we now release the retainage. We are a year past the construction, so I need a motion to that effect.
I make a motion, we release the retainage.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. All right. Any other business?
No.
Correspondence. Rhinebeck Legion Band has sent a letter to us. They would like to hold a concert in the municipal parking lot, basically in the back section where the farmer's market is. And they want to do this, let's see what we got here. It's usually on a Tuesday evening between 7 and 8:30 p.m. And, you know, the audience is encouraged to bring their own seating. So basically what they're asking for is the use of the parking lot and our help perhaps in, they would get the signage and maybe our help in putting the signage up so that we would notify people that they would be using the parking lot for that. Tuesday, July 16th, they're looking at.
Is it just for one?
Just one show.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I was gonna say, because it gets kind of busy on Tuesdays.
Yep.
But it says here, our concert season starts in July and runs to the end of August.
Right, but they don't want to use the parking lot once. They're not using it for their entire schedule. They move it around. They go to different venues. They play up at the rec park. They used to play over at the Beekman Arms, at the post office.
Okay.
I suggested to them that they use the Legion Park down at Crystal Lake.
Yeah, that's a nice place.
And she said, well, that's kind of far out of town. But at any rate, so does anybody have any concerns about this?
Just repeated performances.
All right, well, this,
That's my only question.
the first letter is not, the first letter is, then I had the meeting with her over there. And then she
Okay.
sent me this second letter. And it says, Jim, thank you for meeting with me yesterday to discuss the municipal parking lot as a venue for the Rhinebeck Legion Band. We would like to play there on Tuesday, July 16th.
Okay.
Okay, so do we have to get the cars out of there and make sure that there's no
We
parking?
did put signage up. You know,
Okay.
And I told her that they would be responsible for making the signs up.
Okay.
But we could assist them in putting them up and put them up ahead of time so that people are aware that they shouldn't be parked there.
Okay.
July 16th.
You know, and she says here, you mentioned signage. I am happy to make signs indicating that the specific area is reserved. Do you have any specific size and wording? And they look forward to playing there.
No, do we have to approve this, make a motion?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I make a motion to allow the Legion Band, Rhinebeck Legion Band to play in the parking lot over here on
July 16th.
July 16th.
Okay.
Thank
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted. I will contact Dottie. Okay, and I mentioned a little bit earlier, we got the good news letter from the Controller's Office. They are going to do an audit. You know, I welcome this. I look at it in the regard that if there's a way we can improve what we're doing in the process, that it's a good thing. I know it's going to be a lot of work for Lisa. She's probably not welcoming it as much as I am, but no, I think this is going to be a positive for us, and I'm sure there'll be things they're going to find that we need to work on. So she is coming tomorrow to give us an idea of what the whole process is going to be. The audit isn't going to begin tomorrow, but she'll lay out how the whole thing will go. So when I have more information, I'll let you know. There was an email and there's a website on there that you can, or a link you can click onto that kind of describes it, if you guys are interested in looking at it. Next one is June 5th dated, and this is from the Levines or the Levines, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but it's the house down on the corner of South Street and Route 9, and this is a tree that is in the median strip between the sidewalk and the road. And during the storm event, Memorial Day weekend, we had all of the high winds. Part of it fell off into their yard, ripped the electric service off, did not damage the house. They hired a tree company to come in, cut the tree up, and basically remove it. But they are asking us, because it's a street tree, to reimburse them for it.
Have they checked with their own insurance company?
Don't know.
But they had,
Maybe an insurance issue.
Yeah, it sounds like.
I mean, if there's no damage,
Well,
are you still able to recoup the cost if there's no damage?
I think the
don't
bill
know.
they
I'd
sent,
check with the insurance companies first.
I think the bill they sent had a large number of items on there, if I remember right.
The what?
Filling up The bill they had sent us, of which.
I didn't see the bill. Oh, wait a minute, here it is.
$2,300.
I'm sorry. I did see it.
It's expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's $2,300.
yeah, but I mean, there's other stuff on there, right? That's, I assume it's related to the storm.
I mean, I don't,
This is
You're not comfortable?
tree removal, and there's electrical stuff. The electrical stuff is the small part. The tree removal is $2,300.
Yeah, I would refer to the insurance companies first.
So
You might
refer
get
to
behind
their
it.
insurance
Well,
company
they should
and
be
our
referring
insurance
to their
company?
insurance company and our insurance company and see what that price has before you decide to make any payments.
Okay.
Okay, now while we're talking about this tree, Mike is concerned about the remainder of the tree.
And again, that's one of those issues I want to talk over with Central Hudson. Because
Okay.
now it's definitely heavy to the other side.
Right.
And if it comes down, it's going to take their power lines out.
Okay, so you had that on the list to talk?
Okay, that's that one. Next one is a letter from our own Terry Gibson, our own senator. And he wanted to let me know that he shared with me a press release and the fact that he has submitted legislation to try and amend the Constitution to address this prevailing wage issue that all municipalities are faced to have to deal with. So it's good to see that at least he's proposing this. Where it's going to go, who knows? But I thank him for that. At least he's trying to work on it.
That is interesting.
It's one of those dreaded state mandates.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's pushed by
unions.
the unions. It's not
Okay.
Sheldon Silver.
Next one.
going to endear him.
Sheldon Silver.
Brant, you already talked about the stuff with AT&T. I have one from Star Library. We had talked about this one, I think, already. They wanted to set up the table to raffle off the Yankee tickets in the parking lot. We talked about that already, didn't
Yeah,
we?
I think we
At one of the
approved it.
special meetings?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that one's gone. All right, so the last one I have, and I guess I'm going to have to ask Rich on this, but this is I think a husband and a wife, and they want to have basically some type of a music festival in the Dutchess County area, and they want to adopt the word Rhinebeck for its name, Rhinebeck Music Festival. They're unclear yet as to where their location is, and they are suggesting that perhaps they would be at Bard College, or that maybe they would be, let's see where it says, the Center for Performing Arts in Rhinebeck, Cats Band in Tivoli, UPAC in Kingston.
They're looking for a venue. They haven't found one yet.
Well, and what I was going to say is, I don't know when they're planning on having this, but if it's in the summertime, why not the high school and the auditorium there?
Well, this is something that they're still working on. It's not going to come out until like 2015.
2015. So
they're
They
going
want
to
a
be
copyright
nonprofit.
or something.
we definitely need more information here, but my question to you is, what about the use of the word Rhinebeck?
Let me read
Do
it.
we have any rights to it?
I doubt it. I don't see how,
That's my question.
nor would I want to have rights to it.
Well, I don't know, maybe we can make some money off this.
I told Brian
Percentage of
it's
sales.
Copyright on
there's
that.
no other town or village or anything named Rhinebeck in the whole United States. This is the only Rhinebeck.
Yeah, and it's Tony.
Good. Maybe we should trademark it.
And it's Tony.
They don't want it till 2015. Give me a minute or two.
Okay.
All right,
I'll get back to you on it.
okay.
Maybe we should mention the fairgrounds too, right?
Yeah. Okay, and then just to share some information with you, that when I was at the last Dutchess County Mayors and Supervisors Association meeting, there was a gentleman there, and his name is Irvin Miller. He is a PhD, former math teacher, and he has established a mathematics museum here in Dutchess County and is looking for assistance from people. So this is a word out to the public that this does exist. What he's trying to do is teach children the mastery of addition facts, and he has all kinds of programs that he's developing. So the information is available here at Village Hall if anybody is interested in that. Anybody else have any other thing?
Yeah, we have.
Correspondence. What do
We have 2 different dates here for the,
Well, depending
I
on
don't
which
have
one
these.
is going to be available.
I don't have these. Lutheran Parish of Northern Dutchess. And where are they located? Cinnamon Circle, that's an address down in the Gardens. Susan Peckman. Or Peckman or Beckman?
Paxman.
Maybe it's a new.
And they're requesting use of the village hall? She lives in the Gardens. Don't they have a community building down there?
I don't know if it's big enough to. She put 2 dates because she wasn't sure exactly which one, and she's got to let us know, but she wanted to put both of them down just to make sure that.
What do we do in this case? We need a certificate of insurance, that kind of thing?
I did tell her that.
Yeah.
I sent the second page to it that shows it's not on this one.
And do they use alcohol?
Well, they can't.
No.
They can't.
They can't.
No, but it's a liability insurance, $1 million. I told her that she needed to have a
You can buy it for a few
You have
hours.
to have insurance, huh?
Yeah, you can buy that for a few hours, I think, maybe 6 hours.
Yeah, you can buy event insurance.
Yeah.
Well, there's a second page to the set list, everything.
Does anybody know who the Lutheran Parish of Northern Dutchess is?
No, I don't.
I've never heard of it.
I think that the real question is,
So-
do we want to rent
Certificate of insurance we need, correct?
Definitely, yeah, have to have insurance.
Yeah.
and well,
All right,
that's
so
what I-
Lisa, what we need to do is respond to her. Let's get a clear picture of who the Lutheran Parish of Northern Dutchess is, simply because we're not familiar with it, where they're located, where they operate. All right, because this is a home address for Susan Peckman down in the Gardens. And explain the insurance requirements to them.
And that we want to be named as additional insured, right?
Right. All right, and they need to specify a date. It can't be a deal where, well, is it gonna be Saturday or Sunday, and then they just decide when they're gonna show up.
Yeah, in that case, we could tell them that, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, the only question I have is it customary to not lease it out, or to make this available to religious institutions?
To community organizations is all.
Yeah, but that's a religious institution, I think.
It's a community organization also.
As long as you make it available to all.
Yeah. As long as we're not discretionary and say you can't come in, you know. If anybody wants to use it, you know, it's supposed to be a community hall. It's certainly not something that it's not something we would let a for-profit come in and use.
Right.
You were going to set up a special meeting for Brad to come in and talk about the insurance.
Did he propose any dates yet?
So he's waiting for you to give him the.
Oh. I thought we were supposed to find out from him when he wanted to come up.
She said you
No?
could just let him know what.
All right,
what day you wanted
health
to
insurance.
come.
Yeah, I haven't looked at that yet. How does it look, you know?
I couldn't figure it out.
Well, MVP's gone up by 17%.
MVP's gone up, so we need to look at whether we want to stay with them or whether we want to change. There's a lot of municipalities that have been going to CDPHP. But Brad wants, if we want Brad to come up, he will sit down and meet with us like he has in the past, and him and Minnie would give us a rundown on the options. So if we're going to do that, we need to set up a special meeting.
This month is bad. Next month is bad.
No, we have to do it this month, right? July 1st is when it would take effect.
Oh, I thought it was August 1st.
It's July 1st.
Effective date 8/1.
Oh, no, it's Fraley that's this month, right?
Right, yes.
Yeah.
It's a liability.
Liability insurance
This
is
one's
July
August
1.
1st.
It's July 1.
Health insurance is August 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you want to do it in June though, right, Brant? 'Cause July's bad for you?
Yeah. The last week, I guess, in the middle of the day is better.
The last week of July?
June.
June?
Yeah.
Would be the 28th?
25, 26?
25,
It's
Tuesday,
gonna be during,
Wednesday?
it's gonna be during the day?
Tuesday.
During the day?
Well, Wednesday's better for me.
Wednesday morning, Howie?
10.
9
Yeah.
o'clock?
Yeah.
Not good for
What did
me.
you say?
Huh?
Not good for me.
Why not? Where are you going?
I'm doing important stuff. Keep my body going.
What do you mean important stuff?
You get a-
This is
you get
important.
Work out? We don't get to
Well,
work.
what time? What time are you talking
9
about?
o'clock?
No, not good.
What time?
10 o'clock, 10:30?
I can
Okay.
make it 10.
Good for you?
Yeah, yeah.
30?
What date?
10 or 10:30?
10:30,
What date?
July 30th.
No.
No, 26th.
June 26th.
June 26th.
Did we ever find, Heinz had a question about where those claims came from, because our premium went up on liability insurance?
Yeah, I was going to talk about that next.
Oh. What did, the Adeline Malone and,
Were they talking about claims for other?
Slip and fall
it
stuff.
hasn't been paid out.
That's just us, though?
It hasn't been paid out.
out
It's
yet,
just,
yeah.
that's just fees that have accumulated. Those are still ongoing and open suits. I still get
Against
FOIL
us.
requests.
Yeah, I have-
One was for the tripping and falling over on West Market Street, right where Bing's is, where they put that berm in, where they put that.
There's a blacktop berm there, she tripped over.
Mound,
Yeah.
she tripped over, and the other one is
Well, it's John Worth.
John Worth's wife.
And I wanted to make one other comment here. I talked to Barbara Schreiber, and she lost her insurance. She got hit for $280,000,
I heard, she told me. Yep,
okay?
yep. I know, I mean, I had the same thing when I had the flower shop, $235,000. They didn't, the insurance company didn't drop me, but woman slipped on black ice and broke her leg. She got $38,000 in medical bills, and she got $180,000 or $190,000 in pain and suffering.
So I actually wanted to bring this up here, but Heath is not here.
He has a meeting.
Well, but he wanted to take a look at insurance, and
He is.
and that is one of the things. But we do have a sidewalk code in place, and it seems to me it is not enforced strongly enough. And it is not just the sidewalks. Lara and I do a lot of walking every day here, and you can't walk on the street because the bushes are growing out, trees are growing
Can't
out.
walk on the sidewalk, you mean?
Walk on the sidewalk, so we have to walk on the streets. And in case some fellow in South Parsons Street actually took the sidewalk out, put a tree in there. And
Several people have.
so, to me, these are violations and they should be cited,
Well,
they should be enforced,
if we want to start doing that, then that's a decision the board has to make.
because we get hit more of these insurance claims, yeah, our insurance is gonna go through the roof.
Yeah, but we're not responsible for that, are we?
Oh, well,
They sue both.
I know,
Our
but
carrier
it's
caves,
not
the
done yet.
carriers cave in.
yeah.
I mean, they just pay,
The
they
insurance
write a check,
companies
they
say, you
don't,
know what, we're not gonna go to court.
we're not
Yeah,
going to
take the
court,
money,
here's,
right.
yeah.
Walk away.
They have a break-even
That's
figure.
what happens. Yeah.
That's, it happened to me too.
Yeah, but that was, these are before the sidewalk law was strengthened.
No, one of it was after. One was as a result of it,
A lot of them are after the sidewalk amendment was
yeah.
done.
And one of them was a result of it.
Did you get the report?
No, I don't think
It's
so.
got the dates on it of when the incidents happened.
No, I didn't see
And
that.
a lot of them.
Well, the one was told-
A lot of them are 2012,
One-
last year.
The one was before it was strengthened.
But that's beside the point, in my opinion. I think that, there's gonna be more of that going on. And the other thing that bothers me here on Market Street is, we have all these tree wells, that people are now putting these, like buttresses on there that stick out, stones on edge.
They're making them ornamental beds.
And people fall, today are sitting
Well,
at,
that's not our defect then. Not that we have defects. We have no
Well-
defects.
So,
anyway.
again, what I'm gonna say is if somebody wants to begin this process, all they need to do is start compiling a list, and we have to send the notifications to people. But be prepared for the fact that if they do not do the remedy, then we have to do it and incur the cost, and then we have to try and be reimbursed, and then if they don't pay us, we have to go to the county to be made whole. So, that's the process we would have to go through. Well, Edith Thomas, she complied. We did the cigar store sidewalk, sent her the bill, she paid us right away. She was ecstatic. But there's a lot of people, you're gonna go after, you might not get that resolution. So it's a process that
Well,
we
there's a large number of people, thank you.
follow.
there's a large number of people who have done wonderful work, you know, and other people just don't care. And when I look at the places where things are worse, that's in the places where people rent. People don't live there, you know, the absentee landlords.
So,
well, Jim, how
what? I just told you what we need to do.
Yeah, I was wondering, and I haven't been able to really...
What I'm also going to suggest is that once you start this process, you put yourself in a position, too, that you better be prepared to go after everybody.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you've got one person saying, why me and not him?
Yeah.
And you're going to have people that are going to do that. They're going to go around the village, and they're going to identify sidewalks that have issues, and they're going to say, did you send him a letter?
But then the other thing is you have to think of is a lot of the sidewalks problems are caused by trees, which are our trees, which we're gonna have to end up paying.
Your trees.
Yeah.
No, unfortunately,
the trees were there
trees.
before I was there.
Unfortunately, our trees.
I think, but we have, the task force has done an inventory of what
I agree with you,
done.
Heinz. I'm not disputing it. I'm just explaining to you what this process is going to do, what it's going to open up. And you have to be prepared for that. And
no. We have to be prepared for it, right?
Yeah,
as a board.
You have to, as a board, you have to be prepared. Once you start this process, you're going to have to see it all the way through to the end with everybody.
So are we prepared to do that as a board?
You're asking the question? I'm saying no, I don't think we're prepared to do that.
I don't think you'd find that we have any, greater liability than other communities. I think it's the free-for-all in New York State, so I don't think we have...
Therefore, we don't do anything.
Well, we're insured. I mean...
When we receive a letter, a notice, then we take action. But if you want to say, okay, Clara and I walked up South Parsons Street today, and we found this sidewalk that's a problem. Well, you know what? You better walk every sidewalk in the village. You better take that pedestrian task force, and you better cite everybody that's got a problem, because otherwise you open up that can of worms where the property owner says to you, all right, if I have to fix mine, everybody else does too.
So anybody who hears that says, well, yeah, we just let it slide.
Well,
I just explained to you what my stance was on it.
We've been picking some grave situations where there's a lot of foot traffic because it's on Market Street or it's on, Route 9. And it's just a piecemeal approach, but if you find any big issues, we should...
But when you are look and see if it's tree roots.
Let me make an example of South Parsonage Street. And South Parsonage Street has a lot of children walking there, going to school. In the morning, at night, some of them go on I'm talking the ones that come from the middle school there. And there's no place for them to walk except for the street. And if something ever happens there, somebody some kid get hit by something.
Are you talking about the elementary school?
Yeah.
I said when we started this whole thing that this is a long-term problem, and it's not something that we are going to correct. It's going to take years and years and years to do it. We don't have the funds to do it. Our code gives us the ability to enforce something, but if we're going to enforce it on one person, we have to enforce it on all, okay? We can start the process, but you're going to have to be prepared to see the thing all the way through to the end. So if you say to somebody over here on Chestnut Street, fix your sidewalk, you better be willing to say it to this guy over here and that guy over there and that guy over there. And if they don't do it, you have to go do it and expend the funds to do it. And then be made whole by the county if they don't pay you. So it's a very involved process, and it could be potentially a very expensive process. And we may not have the ability to do it all. And then once we initiate this, then we can be held responsible.
Sounds like a no-win situation.
No,
Kind of is, unless you have unlimited funding.
We've done a select...
Yeah, I think we're doing it a little bit at a time.
If we can go out and we can secure $500,000 in grants, we can fix a hell of a lot of sidewalk, but you have to get the funding to do it.
But you're talking about building a new sidewalk, right?
No,
He's talking about both.
Both.
Oh, yeah, I understand, but you're saying elementary school.
There's one thing is to maintain the sidewalks or to build them. The other one is just to trim the bushes so people, don't have to walk on the street.
That's just a street department issue. And we have to identify these locations, put something in writing, bring it here, so that Howie can go to the street department and say, all right, here, 34 Mulberry Street, or wherever it is. I talked to Mike about it this morning. I told him exactly where the location was, where the branches are too low. You gotta go like this to get underneath them.
Yeah,
Or you gotta walk it out
walk
to the
along
street,
right.
you know? We gotta go trim them.
Okay, well, that we can do.
Yeah, we can do that.
But the sidewalk issue, it's a tough issue, you know? And my belief is that, you know, we don't have the funding to do it right now, so that what we need to do is if we receive a letter from somebody, then we need to take action. But if we open up this can of worms and start this aggressive policy about getting these sidewalks fixed, we're gonna put ourselves in a very tenuous position.
So in terms of insurance hits, future insurance hits, which we don't know whether we get or not, we pay for the insurance, higher insurance, but we don't fix the sidewalks.
Wait, what are you saying? We're
What
paying
I'm
extra
saying is that
insurance?
yeah, I mean, assuming our insurance, and I'm pretty sure it will go up. They're already saying it's going up because we had these issues here, you know. So we pay on insurance, we pay the insurance, but we don't fix the problems
Right,
because the
but we
problems are so
also-
much bigger.
Yeah,
than
we also have millions of dollars worth of sidewalk work to do,
Yeah.
you know? We don't have millions of dollars worth of insurance bills to pay. Yes, it's gonna go up. The more claims you have, the more it's gonna go up. You know, I've said it all along.
We need tort reform.
Give me unlimited money, I'll fix every damn problem you want me to.
Okay.
Rich, isn't New York a pure comparative state where you apportion blame based on,
If you go to the trial,
that's ridiculous, that's just fanciful, it's crazy.
Okay.
So if you're
I wanna
4%
just-
at fault, then you have to pay 4% of the damages.
Okay. I just want to harken back to something that we decided before. I wasn't quite sure.
No, if we already decided, I forget.
The South Parsonage mini park. You want me to take some data?
Yeah, right. And I think
If you would like to.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. Sure.
I mean, I don't really think that, I mean, if we're gonna do this blacktopping project, we're gonna pull that part of it out of there now? Are you saying you wanna build justification for?
No. I thought you guys said that, and I said that if you want me to do that, I'll do that.
The consensus already seems to be we don't need the parking space.
Right.
So unless you wanna build it, don't do it.
Okay, so we don't do anything.
Okay.
Okay. Jim, I don't know if this is,
Heath is working on all this.
okay.
Heath is taking care of all the insurance stuff.
That's what I was just.
He's looking at liability, he's looking at workman's compensation. He's got meetings scheduled for next
When
week.
he's coming back,
He's due back, I think, Thursday night,
okay.
so.
Okay.
So I was gonna go sit with Lisa and try to figure all this stuff out, I don't need to do that then.
All right, any other business? Okay, I need a motion to go to executive session for personnel matters, please.
We still have to do adjustments here, right?
Well, I want to do the executive session first.
Oh,
Oh, water and sewer adjustment, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I'm looking at voucher approval, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. We have a number of adjustments this month. One of them was we changed the meter and did not take the data on the meter, and we overcharged the person. And so we had a $45.60 credit memo. We had two situations where we interchanged the account numbers, one of them for $84 and one for $54, and they just have to be reversed, so there's no net change on that. There's two in and outs, $25 each, which are just an accounting adjustment. There is a removal of penalty for 1090 from somebody who said they didn't get their bill on time, and I made it clear to Pat, we had two of them, one for 1090 and one for 360, that at this time is that we do it once, but the second time no more. And we had a second one coming in, that was a lawyer writing a letter, we want to get reimbursed for $7.90, and I said, for penalty, I said, no, we did it just for last month for you, you know. And he lives in New York City, and said he can't get his mail on time, and I said, well, that's not our problem. I had $123 for filling a pool. And then we had a $539 issue where we had a meter reading error. And there was a meter installed, and then they didn't read it right, and they dropped a 0 on it, and that went over 3 quarters or 7 months, 9 months period. And the net of it is that we sent the bill that was too high, amended the bill, and I have a letter to that effect. And we gave there's a $24 credit now to the person. That's all in Rhinebeck. And these are the adjustments I have. So we have everything documented in case.
Make a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to accept the adjustments as stated.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted. Okay, I need a motion to go to executive session for personnel matters, please.
I'll make a motion, we go to an executive session for personnel matters.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted.
It's up.
Okay, need a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted. Thank you.